Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about bicep injuries on the deadlift and why people really misunderstand this. What they don't understand is that certain weaknesses are to blame, and a bad setup technique is what actually causes it. It's not so much about using the mixed grip, and I'm not saying the mixed grip doesn't increase the risk, but if the other factors are removed, the risk gets pretty low. And if you don't remove those various factors, guess what? Guess what happens? People still tear biceps with straps and double overhand. So we need to be clear here. And before people say, oh, I'm just not going to deadlift, well, if that's going to be your logic, then don't ever do a preacher curl either. Because preacher curls tear more biceps on an annual basis than deadlifts do, as far as ones that require surgery. So if we're going to use that logic, don't do a preacher curl, and definitely don't do a partial on the preacher curl. Man, that's where you really get hurt. So here's what we need to think about on the deadlift. You need to learn to lock your elbows. Now, your lockout is going to be relative to your joints. So I need to be clear here. Your elbow lockout is going to look different from someone else's. Some people's elbows, when they hard lock, their arm isn't quite at 90 degrees yet. Other people can hyperextend beyond it. And what we need to be clear here, though, is that you need a hard lock of the elbow, and you need your triceps flexed. And it doesn't matter where it's at before you pull, as long as by the time you go to pull, you get it set there. So a lot of that has to do with wedging in tight. So if you guys watch on a lot of my deadlifts, you'll see different clips from different years through here, including some recent ones and then some a year or two ago, up in the 600s. The thing is with that, you're going to notice that I do that. And it's very important that you do that. And when you wedge in, the other thing to think about, and we'll get into training for weaknesses too. You'll see me doing curls. Curls are an important part of that. But the other thing that you need to do is not jerk the weight off the floor. Now people say, but I'm trying to explode. Jerking and exploding are not the same thing. Explosive means you can go from a dead stop while pulled in tight and move a weight really fast. Okay? Just like if you punch or kick fast, you're not jerking, you're just producing power. Straight, raw power. Okay? That's what we mean by explosive. We don't mean you wind up and get all loose and then jerk a weight, right? You bend your arms and then squat it up and jerk. Okay, that's not what we're talking about, because that's actually how you tear biceps. You need to pull yourself in so that you pull all the slack out of the bar, you lock your elbows, and then you pull yourself into it, and then you explode off the floor. And if you don't have your headphones in, when you go to pull the slack out, you should hear an audible tink before you pull. So when you're setting up, you should hear that tink in the plates. And it's going to be a quieter sound on really close calibrated plates like you see me using. You may not be able to hear it to the same extent, but if you're using gym plates, you're 100% going to be able to hear it. But, learn to get into those habits. You've got to learn to pull in tight. Because the same habits, the stuff that I just described, there's plenty of videos out there of people tearing their biceps with straps, with a double overhand. That is absolutely not the key. The key is to deadlift correctly. And I want to be clear there. If you train your weaknesses and you lock correctly and you wedge in tight on a deadlift, the odds of you tearing a bicep are very low. Okay? They're very low. To the point to where it's not really that big of a concern. Okay. So again, the trick is to make sure the elbows are locked and you wedge in tight. You don't jerk, you smoothly pull off the floor with maximum force. And I'm not telling you not to pull fast or hard, but you don't jerk the weight. And that is the important point here. That is the critical point. All right, and as far as other things go, things you need to think about, lat work and bicep work. All right, I definitely remember hearing Matt Griffin talk about this before one time, back when Tom Martin tore his bicep. These are guys I know from the UK. Tom Martin broke a world record in the open in deadlifts in, I believe, the 110 kilo class at one time. Super strong dude, super jacked guy also, right? Again, jacked bodybuilder type physique, even though he's deadlifting that sort of weight. But he tore a bicep at one time. And I remember Matt Griffin, who's a well-respected strength coach over there, who coaches multiple sports. He kind of said, look, if you do more lat work and do full range of motion lat work, it reduces the chances of that. Now, part of that has to do with, one, the bicep training, because if you do full range of motion bicep training to where you lock at the bottom, you are used to having your bicep stretched under load. Okay, you're not jerking back automatically against it. You are used to stretching the biceps under load and doing a full range of motion. They get used to that. Your nervous system response can be a little bit different. All right, that's a good thing. That's positive, because it means you're less likely to try to flex the bicep. You'll let it go into the correct stretch, because it's when you try to flex the bicep and you bend it right before you pull the weight off the floor. That is where you run into problems, because you unlock the elbow. Okay, that puts you into a potentially compromised and risky situation that you don't want to be in, right? We don't want to be there. That's not good. All right, your lat work does the same thing, in the sense of, if you do your lat work for the range of motion that you can, you stretch your lats, you will tend to have stronger lats for better stability and bar path. If you can have the lat strength and the trap strength from doing, again, lots of lat work, to lock everything in tighter, you are less likely to have a form breakdown that is going to put that tension on the tendon. So this is another example to where muscle imbalances can be problematic here. So in other words, having stronger lats, even though the lats themselves are not primary movers on the deadlift, they have a very, very powerful isometric role, and a big part of that is maintaining tightness and a correct bar path. So spending time developing your lats so that they are proportionately strong to the sort of weights that you are trying to move is a wise idea. And again, another example of why I tell people we need to be balanced. Being balanced, fixing our various weak links in our musculature can help prevent injuries in a lot of areas. Not just injuries in the weight room, but injuries in sports, injuries in various situations that could occur in real life, different struggles, accidents. Being balanced is a good thing, okay? Being balanced in various opposing muscle groups, different muscles that have force against each other. All right, you'll last a lot longer. So again, that's a case where it's like, look, get in and do some lat work, guys. Do plenty of it. Am I saying it's required to have a massive deadlift? No. There are guys with pretty dang big deadlifts who don't have the best lats and who don't do a lot of lat training. But I think we come back over to some wisdom of saying, look, it's still an imbalance worth fixing in order to reduce your chances there. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.